I am going to beat you into the living death. Welcome back to Yelling About Mixed Martial Arts, the show where I yell about mixed martial arts. Oh, say, can you see? Colby Covington has lost. He got washed by Leon. Trump has withdrawn his support.
You know, he lost. So I never liked him as much after that, because I don't like losers.
That's right, my fellow Americans. Colby Covington timidly shuffled his way to a decision loss at the hands of Leon Edwards, whose striking was as crisp as a British potato chip. We now know that Colby spent all of his 2-year layoff hand-stitching his George Washington costume for the pre-fight press conference, and none of it actually learning how to win a title fight. This is, of course, the sweetest of justice for Colby's over-rehearsed, underperformed one-man show at that press conference, where he wore said George Washington attire with matching wig, boots, and MAGA hat autographed by Donald Trump himself. Truly a historic display of try-hardiness, the likes of which mankind has never witnessed before. Except maybe at your niece's 4th grade American history play. You see that kid up there playing Washington? Yeah, that's my son, Colby. Yeah, the MAGA hat was my idea. Yeah, I know he's your son too, Carol. God damn it, I'm trying to make this co-parenting thing work. Even Colby's good lines at the press conference weren't that great. He got this decent dig in at the expense of the MMA community's infinite laughter glitch Ian Garry and his wag wife.
For all the people out there, how many of you guys have fucked Ian Garry's wife?
Only to then ruin it with this mediocre tag.
Oh, man. Wow. I feel bad for the UFC. That's a lot of names they're going to have to put on their fight kits.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Clearly, Colby needs to work on his tight 5, as well as the whole fighting in a cage thing. But of course, the line that had Leon throwing water bottles at the press conference was this blatantly foul, witless line that Colby said about Leon's murdered father, an event that obviously traumatized Leon greatly as a child.
No, I'm bringing you to 7th layer hell. We'll say what's up to your dad while we're there.
Oh!
If only the jawbreaker strike that Kamaru landed could have happened to Colby again last Saturday, because good lord did he deserve it in spades based on that comment alone. This level of unclever, vicious trash talk was also on display at the seasonal press conference, where both Sean O'Malley and Dricus du Plessis stepped right on over the line, bringing up the horrific abuse Sean Strickland went through as a child at the hands of his father.
At least my dad didn't fuck me.
Wait, what do you say?
That at least my dad didn't fuck me.
Oh, this fucking guy, man.
Bro, you think your dad beat the shit out of you? Your dad doesn't have shit on me. I'm gonna show you what it's like to beat you. I mean, every childhood memory you have is gonna come back when I'm in there with you. Every single one, the one where you lie in bed at night, where your dad comes in and he beats the shit out of you.
I will take your fucking soul. You understand me, you fucking pussy?
Now, Sean Strickland is no stranger to saying outrageous bullshit, but to date, I don't think I've ever seen him go so far into the red in such a deliberate fashion as these two jerk-offs did. Which is why it made sense to me when we found out that this war of words would lead to a physical altercation between Strickland and du Plessis in the crowd at UFC 296, captured live on camera.
Ingest it. So it started with du Plessis sort of being shown. Strickland fires the gun. Du Plessis dodges it. All right, so I'm being told that Strickland asks Gilbert Burns' son to move. Oh, and then,
wow.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, wow.
Out of nowhere. That's kind of crazy.
Well, he told him, well, you could see Drake is behind him, still kind of talking once Sean turned his back. So I don't know if maybe Sean Strickland heard him. But how about Sean Strickland, who is a psychopath, having the wherewithal to tell the kids to move before he goes and attacks Dricus du Plessis?
Well, it's just so ridiculous that the middleweight champion of the world would do that.
Performance of the night bonus, Sean Strickland. But seriously, what absolutely pathetic displays of trash talk. So few fighters have that rare intellect to be able to do it effectively, where insults with grains of truth are interspersed with legitimate comedy, and it's even rarer that those fighters actually go on to become dominant champions. So instead, you have these schmucks who resort to this dumpster water, grade school, your dad essayed you lol horse shit. At least with some fighters like Nate Diaz, Tony Ferguson, and Mike Perry, they're legitimately crazy people, so crazy shit comes out of their mouths naturally. But these are seemingly sound-minded individuals making the conscious choice to stoop to this level. The fact that both they themselves and their fan bases seem to take pride in displaying this subhuman level of empty vileness speaks volumes to how fucked we are as a society. May this world burn to a crisp, consuming us all, before your children have to grow up only to say that was my dad, he was a decent fighter in the cage, and an absolute piece of shit outside of it. I have always hated Colby's try-hard antics. I've never liked much of anything Fruit Roll-Up O'Malley has ever said during a press conference, but I'm really most surprised by Drika's "that's not how a champion acts" Duplessis.
He's behaving like a clown in there. You know, that's not how a champion behaves. That's not how a man behaves.
Perhaps he was referring to the non-essay abuse in his statement and choosing to say what he said after O'Malley's comment put it into a different context, but that really doesn't make much of a fucking difference. It's pronounced Duplessis? Well, Duplessides nuts, you whack bitch! I hope Strickland starches you! And as much as I think Masvidal was wrong for doing what he did to Colby outside of the cage, just know that all three of you clowns deserve a fresh dip in the dunk tank, and you'll only have your big fucking mouths to blame when that day comes. Karma is a bitch, and Cain Velasquez is on the case! Other noteworthy performances from UFC 296 were pretty much all on the prelims, as the main card was kind of dull, save for Bryce Mitchell being on the receiving end of a devastating Josh Emmett knockout that sent him into convulsions, laying the Arkansas native out flatter than he believes the earth to be. There were a few really nice performances from the women on the card, with Irene Aldana and Carol Hossa putting on a fight of the night performance that reminded me of a female Robbie Lawler versus Rory McDonald 2, and it was a sad night for fan favorites, with Wonder Boy and Tony Ferguson both taking massively impactful L's as far as their careers go, though it was pretty cool to see Tenacious D and David Goggins walking them to their respective retirement parties. Notably absent from the festivities was the aforementioned Ian Garry and his pneumonia, which is a funny way to pronounce massive cold sore, but tomato. Speaking of Ian Garry, you might have noticed that I haven't done much of that around here, which is a shame considering how much of an absolute MMA lolcow him and his situationship have become. That's because I was waiting to see how this event was going to go for him, warts, cold sores, and all. In the process of Garry and his wife habitually embarrassing themselves publicly, the once proud heel has let the mask slip, making it known that all the online chatter has absolutely gotten to him. His fight with Jeff Neal has been rebooked for UFC 299, which apparently is taking place in my neck of the woods, so perhaps I'll get to witness the next phase of his lifelong fiasco live and in person, along with all the other mediocre fights that I couldn't care less about, which have been announced for that card. Miami, Florida, always the UFC 299, never the UFC 300. What I will say now is that as I see it, Ian Garry is at a crossroad. Will he attempt to go the same route as the other bozos I've talked about in this episode and double down on his horrendous Conor McGregor impression? Or will he do the sensible thing and keep his goddamn mouth shut, his phone on Do Not Disturb, and focus on fighting? You can't unwag the bell you've rung, Ian, nor can you undig the hole you've tunneled to the center of the earth for yourself. The best you can do now is win fights and pray that some bigger MMA lolcow walks into the barn to take your spotlight. You go ahead and choose, and I'll be right there to continue laughing at you when you choose poorly yet again. I swear to God, man, it's a sad state of affairs when a noted asshole such as myself says, "Whoa, dude, enough's enough" in this so-called sport. Seriously, the ghost of GSP weeps at the lack of decorum being beamed into our skulls and lapped up by the cretins. Of course, GSP isn't dead, but he's not coming back to MMA, so he might as well be. For yelling about mixed martial arts, this is Thinker St. James reminding you that if you care this much about MMA, you too are a fucking moron. In lighter MMA news, both Brittany Palmer and Ariane Celeste have taken their last walks around the skirt of the octagon, with UFC 296 being the last event worked by the longtime Ring Girls. So today you and I both learned that ring girls retiring is an actual thing that happens.
Change.